Hello and welcome to Battle Report number 22. So we're finally moving on to Game 4 of the Scottish Championships. So another UB one I'm afraid, and another one at 5,000 points. I've got one more of this after this one, and then we'll be done with the Scottish Championships. And then I think I'm probably going to move straight to the live action battle reports. Like I said in my previous video, I've got another 3 full tournaments played since February, since the Scottish Championships, but I've got 3 UB tournaments, 3 in-person tournaments. I've got another one coming up in November, so I think I'm just going to skip to the live-action ones, probably, just to get them out of the way, otherwise I'm going to be perpetually behind schedule. So, on with the show. Let's have a look at the lists. If you've watched the previous 3 videos, it's the same list as last time, so have a pause and take a look. And my opponent has brought Saurian Ancients. So, for his General and BSB, he's got a Coatl Lord on Divination. He's holding the Jade Staff, which gives him Bound Healing Waters. Obsidian Tesseract, which I think is the one that steals a dice one phase. I'll have a double check and take a look at that. And then he's got Symbiosis and Grasp of the Immortal, which I don't remember which either of those do, so I'll take a look at that as well. So Obsidian Tesseract is a one-use thing. In your opponent's turn, you can steal 1 magic dice or delete 1 magic dice. Grasp of the Immortal is the very expensive Coatl or Discipline. That's the +1 channel, +1 casting modifier. And Symbiosis is... you can cast any kind of spell through a model with telepathic link. So it's... I think previously it's limited to models with it's limited to spells with damage or without damage. I can't remember which is which, but for this game it doesn't matter because he can cast whatever he likes through it. Next up, he's got a pair of Saurian veteran cowboys. They're both on raptors. First one is wearing light armor with Basalt Infusion, a great weapon, and he's got a talisman of shielding. And the other one has a shield with Dusk Forged. He's wearing light armor. He's got a lance and the Dragonfire gem. So I think the first one is on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1-up with a 5-up Aegis and a great weapon, and the next one is a 2-up rerollable with a lance and Dragonfire gem. So both very tough, pretty brutal because they start at strength 5, they're tough 5, they're a pain to shift. In core, he's got a unit of 23 Saurian warriors with spears, full command, and a flaming standard. Then two units of 15 Skink Braves with shields and poison, javelins and musicians. Another unit with shields and musician. A dart of 5 Raptor Riders with musician and champion. 1 unit of 2 Snake Swarms with scout. 2 lots of 2 Spearbacks. 2 lots of 8 Chameleons. A unit of 3 Pterodon Sentries with poison javelins. And then a Taurosaur with the Engine of the Ancients for an additional channel. And then the +1... you either get the Aegis or it does some damage, like a little bit alchemy-esque, where it rolls against your armor save, or it's a little bit like blood magic, I think, where you get an additional +1 to cast a particular magic path. I believe that's how it works. And then the Stygiosaur with the Mystic Traveller, so he's got magic as well. Right, so for spells, I've got the Heirloom on my Druidess, so she's got the Breath of the Lady, Healing Waters, Entwining Roots, Summer's Growth, and Stone Skin. And then the Coatl Lord has got the Hereditary spell, which I think is Spark of Creation. Then Know Thine Enemy, the Stars Align, and Unerring Strike. And of course the Bound Healing Waters as well. And then the Mystic Traveller has got Awaken the Beast and Savage Fury. And then for this game we were playing Dawn Assault and Secure Target. So I've got the top right hand side, he's got the bottom left, and then we've got to score as many of the 2 objectives as possible on turn 6. So I placed mine on the right there, just to the left of the hill, and he's got his on the far left, next to that Stygiosaur. So this is a little bit into Saurian's turn 1. I've vanguarded off to the left with the left yeoman up there, and the right yeoman is vanguarded up behind the hill. His various scouts and vanguard, he's got some chameleons on the left, bearing down on my poor yeoman, and some chameleons on the other side of the hill on the far right. His snake swarms are just in front of his lines, and he's vanguarded his Pterodon's just out from behind everything else up in front. Let's go through where everything's deployed as well. So the one with the great weapon, I believe, is on the right, cowboy-wise. So if we start on the right for the Saurian Ancients, we've got the cowboy with the great weapon, then some skinks with poison javelins, then the spearbacks, the block of Saurian warriors, then the engine of the ancients. Behind that on the hill is the divination quartal with the skink bunker, another unit of spearbacks, another unit of skink braves, and on the far left the lance cowboy with the 5 raptor riders. And then up on my side I've got my 10 questing knights with my might duke and BSB, a unit of 6 realm knights, my unit of last charge aspirants, then the big unit of grails with my druidess and my Valour general, and the final unit of realm knights on the far right. And then of course the green knights waiting in reserve. So going into Saurian Ancients turn 1. As I'm fairly heavy on the right hand side, he's got lots of freedom to just move up very heavily on the left. Moves his pterodons off to the left as well. The chameleons come up over the hill, and the cowboy on the right is just a hair off of the hill, so he can't be seen, but he's also got very, very limited line of sight as well. The snake swarms make a beeline up towards the forest in the centre there, ready to act as chaff. And then we go through to magic. So the chameleons on the left, I think that stars align on them. They blast apart the poor yeoman. I'm not sure they even got a chance to try a panic check. I think they just died. The yeomen on the right hand side are a lot more lucky. There's only there's 2 of them left. And then in magic, I think that's an unerring strike that's killed a realm knight in the centre there. Or maybe it's Spark of Creation. I'm not sure. Either way, one of them dies for magic. So in my turn 1, I take advantage of the fact that that cowboy on the right hand side can't see anything past the hill, and I move up very aggressively with my Grail Knights, followed by the Aspirants. I move the Might Duke across into the Realm Knights so that he can potentially threaten these central units. That block of Saurian Ancients, crucially, doesn't have parry because they've got spears, so that might make them a lot easier to go through if I can hit them with the Might Duke and cause an awful lot of damage. Leaving my BSB and questing knights on the left. So we go through to magic. I don't do a whole lot, but I get the Oaken thrown up. I cast Healing Waters on my Grails, and I regrow that dead Realm Knight. So Saurian Ancients turn 2. This is after his moves. I haven't been very careful with my arc of sight on the questing knight, so there's a big open gap on the left there that he's exploited with the Stygiosaur, the chameleons, and the raptor riders up behind them. He's also had lots of, like, Saurian Ancients are very good with their chaff, lots of stuff that's got light troops and fly and the swarms and everything. So the questing knights chaffed with the pterodons, the aspirants and the realm knights with my Might Duke are very, very close together, so they've been chaffed by the snake swarms. And it's not looking great movement-wise, but I haven't received any charges just yet. The chameleons get out of dodge a little bit. I think they're outside of charge range from those realm knights on the right, and the raptor rider cowboy on the right moves out from behind the hill. So in shooting and magic as well, maybe he blasts apart the the poor questing knights. I think I lose 5 guys there, just to the spearbacks, the poison javelins on the pterodons and the blowpipes. He might have used his toxic breath weapon at this point as well. That might be why I lost a load of guys. And then the spearbacks on the right shoot another Grail Knight. In my turn 2, so I did a little bit of an oopsie here. You can see here that I'm chaffed by the snake swarms, but if I charge the aspirants in, they're in the flank. So I charge in the flank there, and that I can't close the door fully to him, so he has to close the door to me. And myself and my opponent assumed that that would mean that would clear the way for the Might Duke to charge out, so that basically it is a cleared path, like much in the way that you charge another unit out of the way before you declare another charge. That's fine, but making assumptions here with a unit having to close the door to me isn't enough to then declare a charge. So we did this wrong, but you'll see in a moment that maybe it didn't matter so much. I missed the magic phase in his turn, but he got Know Thine Enemy off on the big block of Saurian warriors down there. So, the Aspirants go into the flank of the Snake Swarms. I force him to close the door to me. We assume that that means that I can charge through with the Might Duke and stuff, which we do. It's incorrect, but it's fine. Going through to my moves, I back off with the Questing Knights so that they can see everything and receive all the charges in the front. I'm not too worried about the Cowboy in the rear of the Grail Knights, so I completely ignore him and move the Realm Knights up to cover that flank. And we do magic. So this is where he uses his Tesseract. I get the Oaken thrown off, I get Healing Waters up on the Might Duke's unit with the Realm Knights, and I get Stone Skin, crucially, on the Questing Knights up at the top. So they are now Resilience 6. We go to post-combat and get ready for a shock. I completely bounce off of the Saurian Warriors unit there. Let's have a look. So I did 3 wounds there, out of the possible 10 that I could have killed with the Might Duke. I'd completely forgotten or ignored the fact that he had Know Thine Enemy up, so I was hitting on... Instead of 2s, I was hitting on 3s, and even with my rerolls 1s, I think I just rolled a whole load of 2s. So I just fell in that little bit of a gap where I don't do anything. And then he had 3 ranks, a banner. He did a good, fair few number of wounds to the Realm Knight's back. I lost combat by a lot, and I got run down. I think I rolled a 10 still, but he managed to catch me. Ran all the way up, right sitting in front of my Grail Knights. So a bit of an ouch, but you know, at the very least I'll be able to countercharge him quite heavily with the Aspirants and the Grail Knights. So Saurian Ancients turn 3. This is after moves and magic. So he charges the Stygiosaur and the Taurosaur with the Engine of the Ancients into my Questing Knights. The Saurian block was going to go into the flank, I think, of the Aspirants, so I decided to flee that. And he charges the front of the Grails instead. The Great Weapon Cowboy on the right charges the rear of the Grail Knights as well. And then magic-wise, he's got Healing Waters on the Saurian block, and then he's got both Shamanism spells up. So I think that's Awaken the Beast on the big block of Saurian Ancients, and then the Attribute on the Stygiosaur up there. So it's not looking good for my Grails, potentially, with having to wound through a 4-up armor and a 5+ Fortitude as well. And then Stygiosaur up there can only be wounded on 5s, and he's only in contact with a couple of guys as well. So really very not good going into the combat phase. But more weird stuff happens. In the combat with the monsters and my Questing Knights, I think between the horses mostly, I do 2 wounds to the Stygiosaur, I do 2 wounds to the Taurosaur, and I only lose 2 knights. So I've won combat by a decent amount. The Stygiosaur breaks and runs, but the Taurosaur holds. I move down across to bring the BSB a little bit closer to the Grail Knight combat. And in that combat, I rolled pretty well with my saves on the Great Weapon against the Raptor Rider Great Weapon. I think I rolled very well with my saves there. I don't do a whole lot back, but enough to hold. I can't remember who lost or won that combat, but nobody's running. So he reforms with his Raptor Rider so that his flank is facing the Realm Knights behind me. It's now my turn next, so I'll be able to countercharge now. I think potentially the... No, so my Valour Duke will have automatically issued a challenge. His unit champion, by the looks of things, has accepted, because there isn't a champion chevron there. So I fought and killed the champion that turn. So going into Equitaine turn 3 with my charges. The Realm Knights go into the back, or into the side of the Raptor Riders. The Yeomen go charging into the flank of the Chameleons. And we go through 2 moves. Thankfully I rally my Aspirants. I think they were outside of General and BSB there, so let's have a look. Either way, they've rallied and they've turned back towards the face of the centre. I've popped the Green Knight this turn, so he's sitting there ready for causing trouble next turn. In Magic, I get Entwining Roots off on the Saurian Ancient, the Saurian warriors that are fighting them with Grails. I also managed to cast Summer's Growth on the Questing Knights. I think I decided that was better than Stone Skin, just because it gives me more bodies. He can't stomp me or anything. He's only got a couple of attacks, and he's not doing impacts or anything. So this gives me a better chance of being steadfast as well, potentially if I lose combat. So post combat. Well, between the combat res that I went in with the... So I got a charge in the flank, it was a big flank. I brought a banner in for +4. And then I've got 2 ranks on the Grail Knights, plus another banner there. So I've got a static of 7 against his static of 4. And then again, I rolled very well for my saves. I think the Duke was fighting a duel with the Saurian Ancient, the Saurian Veteran. He doesn't do any wounds to me. I don't think I did anything to him, but between the static combat res, I break both of the Saurian Veteran and the Warriors. I make both units flee from the Grail Knights. I chase after the Veteran with the Realms, and I chase after the Warriors with my Grails. I catch both, and I carry the Realms into the Chameleons there, who have fought off the Yeoman. I think I charged in and killed 3, and then he just managed to kill me back. Bloody peasants, can't rely on them for anything. In combat with the Taurosaur, I do manage to... I can't remember whether I killed it or broke it, but... no, by the looks of things I broke it because I had to chase it down. So I did a couple of wounds, I won combat, and then ran it down. I think this... Yes, this is after the Saurian Ancient turn 4 charges, so I broke the Taurosaur, ran it down, and he's now countercharged me with the Veteran as a separate unit from the Raptor Riders, who have also charged in. Post moves and magic for Saurian's turn 4. He's failed to rally the Stygiosaur, so that keeps running. He's moved up the Skinks on the left to try and score the objective there. The Coatl has moved out of the bunker, used the bunker to chaff, and joined the other unit out of line of sight. The Pterodons are... I don't know where they've been recently, but they must have fled from a charge at some point. So they're stocked up, ready to go for a charge as well. The shooting from the Spearbacks manages to do a single wound to the Green Knight, even from, I think that's 8d6, strength 4, AP2 shooting. I think he's only taken the 1 wound, so very, very lucky there for me. The Chameleons up in the top left aren't doing anything to me because it's pointed shooting against heavy cavalry armor, so nothing happening there. Post-combat, the Veteran and the Raptor Riders completely obliterate the poor Questing Knights. I've got my BSB left who makes a beeline for it, so he's escaped thankfully, but I have lost all of my Questing Knights there. So, Equitaine turn 4. I've got just enough space for the Aspirants to charge through past the BSB and into the front of the Saurian Veteran there. He's going to have to close the door to me, but that's fine. So I'll charge in there. Hopefully between the static combat res, I'll just be able to break him and run him down. The Realm Knights charge the Spearbacks on the far right, the ones sitting on the objective there. They're going to pass through the Green Knight and take some dangerous terrain. I'm then going to charge the Spearbacks again, who are going to pass through the Saurian Veterans, the Saurian Raptors, sorry, the Raptor Riders, who are then going to panic. They're going to flee towards the top, like so, and then my Green Knight then catches the Spearbacks. Yes, so I've charged the Spearbacks with the Realms, they fail charge, the Spearbacks pass through the Green Knight, the Green Knight charges them again, they pass through the Raptor Riders who panic, and then he completes his charge against the Spearbacks and ends up in the forest. And additionally, the Grails and my Valour Duke with the Druidess have charged the Skink bunker that are chaffing them currently. So post magic, I don't manage to get a whole lot off, but I do regrow that wound on the Green Knight, and I get Entwining Roots on the remaining Spearbacks to make their shooting a little bit more difficult. And then post-combat, I make a whole load of mess of the skinks there. There's one of them left. I don't know why I didn't pursue, to be honest. Maybe I didn't want to get flank charged. Maybe I wasn't sure about being away from the objective. I'm not sure. But there's one left, and he's fled a little bit. And we go to Saurian's turn 5. Oh, and the I've managed to do 0 wounds to the Saurian veteran. I think this is the one with the 2-up rerollable save, so I would have been doing Strength 5 AP2 hits against him, and then he's got a 4-up rerollable, so probably a little bit unlucky to not do anything to him, and then also unlucky that I didn't break him either, but, you know, I'm stuck there now, and we're just going to have a little bit of a grind for a bit. So, Saurian Veteran's turn 5. So the Weapon Beasts charge, the Spearbacks charge the flank of the Aspirants to provide a little bit of combat res. The Magic fluffs entirely, he doesn't manage to get anything else at all. Shooting panics the realms on the right, having lost one guy. They fail their panic check and run. And then in combat, the Aspirants hold on a steadfast 9 with a reroll. And then going to Equitaine turn 5. This is post moves. I turn around to face the scoring unit bearing down on my objective. The Grails are facing down towards the bottom there, but the Valour Duke has left the Grails to go pursuing after the objective. So if I can chase those skinks off of that objective, then I can hold mine on the right and potentially score that and win. I don't think it's come up at all, but the Stygiosaur has failed to rally again. He's still running. The BSB has turned round to face the centre. Just provide a little bit of a support for the Aspirants. Potentially you can charge in there and provide extra combat res. Post magic. I get Stone Skin off on the Aspirants, making them Resilience 6 with the Oaken thrown up. Nothing else happens. And then in post combat, I do 2 wounds to the Spearbacks, break both of them and the Saurian Veteran. I fail my restrain check and go chasing after him. He makes it away, and so do the Spearbacks, but they've passed through the Grails and the Pterodons, so they're a long way away from anything now. Nothing else happens in combat. Oh, the fleeing Realm Knights on the right have rallied, so they're still in the game for holding the objective, potentially. Turn 6 for the Saurians. The Stygiosaur fails to rally again. The Spearbacks and the Veteran do rally though, so they've turned around. The Skink Braves have marched up to score the objective, so they're sitting within 6 inches there. They're attempting a charge, but they've got parry, so and they'll be steadfast and they're cold-blooded and all that kind of thing, and they're probably within 12 of the Coatl, so not a whole lot I can really do about that besides bounce off of them. The Pterodons are chaffing my Grail Knights, and the Skink Braves are as far away as they can be away from my Green Knight and Valour Duke, while still within 6 of the objective. Post magic and shooting. Not a whole lot happens, but he does bring down the Realm Knight unit down to a single chap. He then passes his panic check, thankfully. So I've still got one guy, just the one, left ready to score the objective. So going into Equitaine turn 6. Charges. The Green Knight charges off the Stygiosaur finally, and then redirects into the Skink Braves, who hold. They pass their terror check. The Valour Duke also goes in there, attempts to make a long charge. If he can make it in there, then that will make, breaking them slightly easier. The Grails charge the Pterodons, and the BSB joins in as well, just to score some extra points. And then we go through to moves. So I move ever so slightly closer with the Realm Knight, so that he's definitely within 6. He can't die now because this is the turns. This is the final turn. The Aspirants were too far away to spin on the spot and move 8 inches towards the objective. So instead I've conga lined them and then advanced 4 directly backwards. That's still outside of outside of 6 inches, but I've got a trick up my sleeve. So we go through to post everything. I sneak through Summer's Growth on the Aspirant Knights. I grow an additional 3 who all have to be joined onto the end, which puts them within 6 inches of the objective. So I'm scoring that one. If I can break the skinks on the left, then I win the objective. So the Green Knight goes in. He kills 4 of them. The skinks do 1 wound to him back, and I cause fear. He's steadfast, so his discipline 6 basic on a skink, -1 for fear. He needs a 5 on cold-blooded. He manages to roll a 4, holds, scores that objective. We're drawn on the objective, and that takes us to the final result, which was a 12 to 8. Really, really good game. It's been months and months since I've played this one, but this one really sticks out in my head as one that was very, very back and forth and very close. It was a really, really good one, and I got very, very lucky to pull through at a drawn objective on that one. I also did very, very well, or, I got very, very lucky with my questing knights holding off against the Stygiosaur and the Taurosaur. Even more lucky that the Taurosaur never rallied. He was testing on his own discipline, which is 6 or 7 cold-blooded, and he failed he failed the break check, then he failed a rally, then he failed a rally, then he failed a rally, and then he fled off the board. So very, very, very lucky to have got that. Very unlucky for my opponent, and that really neuters his magic phase as well, because that means he's only got the 4 spells, from his Coatl, which is a lot easier to deal with. We made a mistake with my Might Duke charging into... Well, if I'd remembered that No Thine Enemy was up, then I probably shouldn't have done it anyway. But because it was a mistake rules-wise, that's fine. I'm happy with that. So yeah, really good close game. I can't remember how many points that puts me on. But I think that is a loss, a draw, and 2 wins going into round 5. So yeah, looking pretty good so far. Come back for game 5, and we'll move on to real IRL games after that one. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.